You're listening to Power Femme Radio. This is a podcast where ladies come together and try to share their opinions and empower each other to be better women in society.
Did he just say try? You're listening to Power Femme, where women don't try, we do. I'm feeling unstoppable today. How are you feeling today?
Pretty unstoppable.
Great. That's amazing. You guys, you're listening to the Power Femme podcast. We have an amazing guest here today. This is my best friend, Ashlyn Showalter. She is a female entrepreneur, a business coach for women, and a six-figure business owner herself. Our intention today is to really uncover what Ashlyn's most valuable lessons have been from being a female business owner. So, yay.
Woo, I'm excited.
I know, I'm excited too. How was your day? Let's just start there. How's your day?
My day was great. I woke up, I journaled, I meditated, I went to Pilates.
Ooh.
I went grocery shopping.
Wow. All in your luteal phase.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. Ashlyn and I are both, we've successfully synced our periods.
Yes, we have.
If you're not doing this with your best friend, you need to be doing this.
It's really important.
Why is it important?
Because then we can go into our womb cave together.
Our womb coom.
Our womb coom, as Josh calls it. And when we're ovulating, we can really crush it together. But for a minute there, we were backwards. So when I was ovulating, you were on your period, and then you were blah, and I was thriving. So we had to sync it up to where we're both blah together, and we're both thriving together.
Yeah, it took 6 months for us to successfully do this, but this is actually something we really, really aimed for, and we are officially one day off from each other with our cycles. So
yes.
it's perfect.
It's so great. I feel like we really help each other a lot.
We do.
It's key to success.
Because we are on the same page, you know?
Yes.
So, I mean, it has everything to do with just having so much more energy. But yeah, Ashlyn and I, last month, it was our first month synced up. And she came over and we turned my house into a womb cave. And then my boyfriend was taking care of us because he's the best boyfriend in the entire world. Ladies, get a man who understands your cycle and like...
Agreed.
Right? Isn't
life hack. I mean, life hack. Seriously. At this point, Chad, like, I'll tell him how I'm feeling for the day, and he's like, "Oh, you're in your luteal phase," and I'm like, "I love you."
You're like, I feel so seen.
I love you.
Yeah. So then Josh was like, "Oh, cute, womb coom," and we were like, "Womb coom?
What's a womb coom?
What's a womb coom?" And so it became our womb coom. That's what we do together. Okay, amazing. So today, what we really want to focus on is the business aspect of things. Obviously, you guys, Ashlyn has been on the podcast before, back when we were Hustle and Flow. So if you want to hear all about her wellness journey, where she's from, how she overcame like so many challenges from being homeschooled and sheltered and just really evolving, we have a whole episode on that. So if you need some background info on Ashlyn, just search Ashlyn Showalter Hustle and Flow. She's in our old episodes. But today, I want you to take me to your business and like when you started your business, and I would really like to know some of your best tips for someone who maybe has an idea, maybe a passion, maybe they're just unhappy in what it is that they're doing and they don't know how to turn their side hustle into their main hustle. So can we just start with maybe where you were before you even started your business? Because I have a feeling some of these people who are listening don't already have their own business, or maybe they have an idea for a business, they just don't know where to start.
Yeah, totally. I mean, for sure. So before I started my business, I was bartending, and I had been bartending because I really couldn't commit to a career because I never really knew what I wanted to do in life. Like my parents, even as I was a little kid, would always ask me like, what do you want to do? You know, parents do that. I think it's weird.
Really?
I'm like, why do you want to ask your child what they want to do for the rest of their life or when they grow up? Like, it's like, they don't know. Let them just play and figure it out. Like, be curious. Like, instead, ask them, what are you curious about? What are you interested in?
Yeah.
But it's just such a heavy question.
It is. Even now, as an adult, that's a heavy question.
It is.
I just went to my 10-year reunion, and people are like, what do you do now? And I'm like, oh my God, like instant panic attack.
Oh yeah.
It's better to ask like, what are you inspired by?
Yes, totally. Or like, what's exciting you in your life right now? What are you learning in your life right now?
Yeah.
So much better. But yeah, so my parents would always ask me, and I I literally just never knew. But I will say I knew what I didn't want, and I knew that I didn't want a regular 9-to-5. I just knew that. I always knew that. And I think it's because I saw my dad working so hard and, you know, trying to provide for our family and working like 80 hours a week. And he just didn't seem super happy. And my mom didn't seem super happy. And I was just like, that's not really fully living. And so I feel like I've always been someone that kind of like want it all. Like, I want to like thrive. I want to be healthy. I want to feel good. I want to have fun, and I want to make money. And I also want to serve and help people. And so so that brings me to this point where I'm bartending,
right?
Which is so funny, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do. However, I had gotten into fitness, and it had really changed my life.
Yeah.
And like really just took me from kind of just depressed. I was drinking a lot. I didn't feel like I had a lot of purpose, and I didn't really have great friendships. I wasn't introduced to the whole self-development world yet. I didn't know that there was a way to change your mindset and your thoughts and your life and your beliefs. And so fitness for me really, you know, switched everything and got me into that whole world of realizing like, oh, I can actually change my energy. I can change my state. I can change my thoughts. I can change my beliefs. I can actually create anything I want in life. And that was really exciting. And I feel like it almost took me from the, you know, how it's like you can have a growth mindset, or you can have a
scarcity
fixed mindset.
Okay.
I think it's fixed mindset or growth mindset. And fixed mindset is when you think that whatever you were kind of born with is what you're stuck with. And a growth mindset is like, okay, even though maybe that's not a talent of mine or that's not a skill that I have yet, I can grow and I can learn that. And so I feel like fitness started that for me. And I really created a lot of passion for me, because I was like, okay, if I can change my life like that, I see so many other women just like me. I want to help them.
Right.
And so I got my personal, this is probably where some of your listeners are at right now too, is like, okay, so you have like this passion or this interest, but you're like, where do I go from there? You know, like, cause you maybe don't feel like, oh, I don't really know how to monetize it, or like, I'm not really an expert in this thing yet. And like, so where do I go? And so I remember I was like, all right, next thing would be, I guess, to get my personal training certification. So then I did that. And then I remember working at Crunch Fitness in Johns Creek, and I was stoked. And then I literally hated it.
Yeah.
Like I did that for what? Like a month?
Yeah.
I did it for like a month.
Isn't that the worst when you like, I mean, this doesn't happen anymore because we both have like had our own businesses, but like in the past, whenever you've gotten a job and you're like, oh, this is going to be so amazing. And then you get the job, and then literally you're at the job and you're doing the work and you're like, how did I end up here? Like, I hate this. This is not good.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that probably happens a lot. And I think there's a reason why there's so many high rates of like depression, anxiety, suicide in like dentists and veterinarians and things like that, because it's like they don't even get a chance to try their job on until after they've put 8 years of their life towards this thing, and then they feel stuck in it.
Oh.
So I don't know. That's just a side note.
Oh, that's really good. Okay, well, we are going to dive into like when you should pivot once you've been like too deep into one idea and you feel like it's time to go, but we won't go there yet. So, okay. So you were bartending and take me to the point where you were like, this is the idea I'm going to go with. Like maybe you had a few ideas or maybe it was just that one thing that you knew for sure. And then how did you take that first step to being like, I'm literally doing this. There's nothing else I'm going to do. I'm not going to bartend anymore. And like, I want to make money doing fitness. Like how'd you make that transition?
Yeah. So I figured out, okay, personal training is not it. And so I was like, all right, then what is it? You know, like what do I do in this industry? And so I was starting to see, this was literally when kind of online coaching just had started.
Right.
And So I was seeing all these people, you know, doing this online stuff, and I had already kind of been posting stuff online about my fitness journey. And so I was like, okay, if other people are doing this, then I could do this. And so I kind of started trying. So I started like training different people online, and I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like sending them Google documents and like, you know, just like literally the most basic things, and charging people like $100 for like
Cute.
8 weeks or something. I don't know, you know, because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like making it up as I went, and no one had told me, no one trains, like you can't, like, that's the other thing. You can't really go to school. You can get a business degree, but like you can't really go to school to teach you how to run an online business. Like it's like its own category, you know,
Totally.
and like to create content. It's like at a university doesn't teach you that.
Right.
So it's kind of like you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I remember so I had followed, you know, some different people who I had realized, okay, people are teaching other people like me how to do this. And I was like, okay, great, because I have no idea what I'm doing. And so I remember I got on the phone with a potential business coach, which was Sterling. And this was just a phone call to be like, okay, what are you doing? Like, how can you help me? Like things like that.
Right.
And I just remember after that phone call, I was so inspired and so excited, because they really helped me see the possibility of like, once you learn the skills to market and sell yourself and create a really amazing offer, then you can actually make really good money, and you can help a lot of people, and you can do this thing full time.
Wow.
And so that was really the moment when I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to invest into this business coaching program, and I'm going to quit bartending. And I was like, I didn't know if I was going to be successful yet, actually. So I quit bartending before I even knew that I was going to be successful.
Wow.
So I was just like, because I was like, you know what? I'm going to burn all the bridges. I'm just going to go for it. And I was like, I don't know. I did have this belief in myself. I was like, you know what? Like, I feel like this is possible. If it's possible for someone else, it's possible for me. And I'm a hard worker. I'm going to do this thing.
Yes.
And it was $5,000. I had $600 in my bank account, because I'm like a broke bartender who had also recently moved to LA. I was working like 3 jobs at the time, like an events place. I was working at this like little dive bar, and then I was working at like EP and LP. And yeah, so I borrowed the money, and like, so I borrowed the money. I'm like, I got to pay this back, and I have to be successful. And I just quit bartending. Also, by the way, I was terrified.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I was terrified. Yeah. I mean, I was just terrified.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, Were
you afraid you couldn't like pay the money back?
Yeah, totally. I was afraid I couldn't pay the money back. I was afraid that I was just going to be terrible at this. I was afraid that I was going to ruin people's lives.
Oh my God.
Like with online coaching.
It's like, okay, imposter syndrome is so evil. Like she is so tricky. Like it's so funny, because like if you really catch yourself in like your mindset, and your mindset has so much to do with like your success, you know, I think really burning the bridges and really just like not even giving yourself to like a chance to fail, just like going for it is so valuable. But if you really pay attention, when the time starts to like approach and you're about to do that big scary thing for the first time, resistance is so loud, but it's also so quiet, because it only is going on in your head. So it's like it can be the loudest thing, but nobody sees it around you. So people, you know, it's kind of just like that. Well, what's stopping you? And it's like, dude, it's resistance, that voice inside of your head. And she is so mean,
dude. It's pretty bad.
So she was telling you that you would ruin people's lives.
Oh yeah. That I was not even good at fitness, that I didn't know what I was talking about, that I wasn't qualified, that I wasn't like all these things, comparing myself to other people. So it's like on the phone when I invested, I was stoked, and I was like, I got this. And then it was like when I actually had to go and like start creating content and like create my program and like tell people about it. It's like, that's when I was like froze.
Wow.
But I still moved through it, because I had invested this money.
Yeah.
I had lit a fire into my ass.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was hard. Like, it was very hard. I had no marketing experience. I had sales, I would say you know, bartending, I guess.
Yeah.
So you have people skills and you know how to sell things, I guess. But it's totally another beast when you're selling like yourself and your own services.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, totally terrified. I was like, people are going to think I'm dumb. I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to say the wrong thing. People are going to think, this is a big one. People are going to think that I only care about money. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the energetics of money too, like your perception of money and your receptivity of money, and then your projections onto other people about what they think about you with your money. Like that is so powerful. And so did you feel like you maybe weren't charging what you should charge? You went from $100 for 8 weeks to what were you charging?
Yeah, so my business coach would not let me charge anything less than $1,500. So I was like, all right, I have to do that. And I was like, to me, listen, I had $600 in my bank account. So like $1,500 to me was like an insane amount of, that was a lot of money. 3 times
more than what you even have.
Exactly. Like that was a lot of money. And so I'm like, I remember my first few sales calls, like, and they all went just horribly. At least I thought they did. I'm sure they were fine. But
did they sign up with you?
My first like 5, absolutely not. I got so many no's. Yeah. Like, and that's also just a reminder, guys.
To keep going.
Yeah. But yeah, and I remember crying. Like my boyfriend at the time, my boyfriend now, I'm so glad he was there because he was like my main support system of just like, I would just cry and I would just be like, this is so hard. It's so funny. This is like real. This is just so the real behind the scenes of just what it's like.
So, okay, so you overcame the resistance, you did the thing, and then you started to hop on sales calls. Can I ask you, how did you end up doing in your first like month or 2 months?
Yeah, so my first month, I was overcoming a lot of resistance, and I was kind of just prepping everything, like getting everything together, starting to create content and everything. And so I don't think I made any money the first month because I was just prepping everything. But I need to actually go back and look at exact numbers. But I want to say my second month, I made like $8K. Yeah. And then I think my third month, I made like $20K. It was crazy.
Literally, you guys, I remember, because we're best friends, okay? I remember Ashlyn literally calling me and be like, Heidi, I made $6K today. And I literally that was mind blowing to me because
my God, yeah.
Because I remember too, we're really big on ideal scenes and I would love for you to share on ideal scenes, but we're so big on ideal scenes. I remember Ashlyn and I we are just the type of friends that always share like our goals with each other. And one of the things that we were talking about was we really wanted to make $3,000 a month. We just really wanted to make $3K. And that was a stretch. That was a goal for me. That was, I don't know why, but that's just what my mind was oh, that's abundant. That's enough.
A lot of money.
Right. That's a lot of money.
Now that we live in LA.
No. Oh my God.
Absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. But I remember you calling me being I made $6K today. And I literally I remember I had to pick my jaw up off of the floor.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's so inspiring and so incredible.
And
wow.
just side note too, $20K in a month for me, that was my entire year of bartending.
Wow.
And so also with that jump of, cash flow, comes also a lot of resistance and money beliefs. I remember I was reading books and listening to money affirmations and all this because I was it was making my nervous system was kind of freaking out. I was do I deserve this? Is this okay? Am I going to ruin all of it? Am I going to lose it all? It's all of this comes up. Mm-hmm. And so I really had to work on my money mindset to even receive that much money because I literally went from $20K a year to $20K in a month.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Crazy.
Amazing. Whew. Okay. So, we'll fast forward and hop out of fitness coaching because you no longer do fitness coaching. You did that for about how long?
I did it for, fitness specifically, I would say 2 to 3 years.
And then you started to pivot
And then I would say it was more of just kind of like an up level into more of the functional health world of, you know, learning about gut and hormones and helping women balance all of these internal kind of like mystery symptoms that were coming up. And I had realized through my fitness coaching that there was a certain percentage of people that no matter all of the strategies that I would do with them, which like I got really good client results too.
Yeah.
And there was still always like a certain percentage of women who, no matter what, just wouldn't lose weight, or, you know, it just wouldn't work. And I am just the type of person that I'm just like, why? Like, what is that? And also like, that's not okay. Like I need to help those people. So then I learned more, and I did a 6-month kind of like a functional health apprenticeship under one of the kind of like leading functional experts in I would say probably the US. And that's when I pivoted into doing more functional health, which was just helping women overcome weight loss resistance due to hormonal imbalances, gut issues, thyroid issues, and things like that.
Amazing. And since you are the boss babe that you are, you also created a program called The Flush, right?
So I didn't create The Flush.
Oh, okay. Tell us about the Wellness Mastery and The Flush and all of that. And then I want to talk about how you've automated that and still created a stream of income for yourself. So let's go that direction.
Yeah. So one of my mentors, his name is Vince, and he's amazing. Everyone should follow him. He is fantastic when it comes to healing chronic issues like weight loss resistance, hormonal imbalance, acne, things like that. And he has this process called The Flush, and he has created it. And it's something that I did also to heal I had gut issues and all of that as well. And it was life-changing for me. And I then used that with all of my clients as well. And then, I mean, The Flush has been used on like over 10,000 people with like a 90% success rate, which is incredible. And so, you know, we kind of came together and we were like, what if we automated this so that this is accessible to everyone? Because to be honest, anyone can do a flush. It's like, and follow the protocol and, you know, use the supplements, and anyone can do it. And I was like, let's create this so that someone can, you know, who doesn't have a lot of money or time to actually do one-on-one coaching with a coach, they can just do it themselves and get amazing results. And so we teamed up with my mentor, myself, my boyfriend actually also, and Vince. And my boyfriend also went through The Flush and had his own gut issues and just like saw how incredible it was. And so we just kind of created this little team. And it took us a year or so, and we put it all together. We recorded it and we packaged it. And so now it's The Flush, and now it's existing, and people can do it on their own. And it's awesome. I love it because it makes me feel happy that it's accessible and it's affordable to pretty much, in my opinion, anyone. So they can kind of like take their health back into their own hands and find some healing for themselves.
I love it. Amazing. And so fast forward even more. Okay. How many total years have you been a businesswoman, would you say?
I would say almost 5 years.
Okay. So you leveled up into like more of like functional health coaching, and then you automated this program, and you were able to create a new stream of income for yourself. And then you went through, you know, like a period where you maybe felt like this isn't it anymore.
Yeah.
Actually, I have right here a quote from you. It says, "I believe that true health comes not just from eating healthy and exercising, but when we listen to our inner knowing, step towards our deepest desires, believe we deserve it, and go out and create it." So I wanted to ask you, how can you relate, you know, this to starting your fitness business and then venturing out into other creative ideas that you had, like Mycelium, the music festival that you created, and now even business coaching for women online?
Yeah, so I think I love that quote that I wrote. Great? Because I think it is so true. It's like you can eat healthy and you can exercise, you can do all the right things physically, but if you're internally not following your intuition, or you're in a job that you hate, or you're in a relationship that isn't serving you, there's going to be this part of you that is not fulfilled. And I feel like health is all of it.
Right.
And so I also saw that in my own life, that a big part of just like the angst and anxiety and depression that I had always felt was because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, or like I didn't believe in myself enough to actually dig deep and pull this desire out and actually take action on it. You know, like I think we all, like, I think when we say we don't know, like, I don't know what I want to do, or I don't, you know, it's like actually like we do.
Really? So
we have something in there that's trying to like raise its hand and be like, hi, like I'm here. I have this curiosity. I have this little just trickle of like interest in this thing, but we're like, no, because it's a little scary. Right. Or like what we were talking about the other day.
I wanted to talk about this.
This is the real thing, is that when we allow ourselves to let that little thing out that we're really truly interested in, it feels really scary, because it is the deepest and most true part of ourselves. And so it's almost exposing this like, this is who I really am. And what if I do that thing and like people don't like me, or it doesn't go well, or I fail, or whatever? It almost feels like it would be a death. So we end up doing things that we don't really
it's like
care about as much, because then if those things don't go that well, it's not that bad. It's fine, because it's not that thing. It's not that like juicy thing.
I think we see other people being successful, or like successful, I'm doing air quotes, guys. And so then we say, oh, that's the thing I have to do. And so I think that like we can get so, I mean, like myself, like I literally obviously have always wanted to be a producer, an actress. Like I've always wanted to be creative and in this field and on stage and stuff. But like I, for whatever reason, was like, no, I need to be a fitness coach. And for 5 years, I literally was a fitness coach. And instead of starting Power Femme Productions, I started Power Femme Fitness. And like I hid behind that. And the entire time, I told myself, I'm not happy. Like, I don't know if I'm good at this. I feel like I'm an imposter. And I feel like there is a fine line. Like, I think you should listen. Like sometimes you got to know like when your imposter syndrome is real, like you feel like an imposter because, you know, like maybe you're really excited to do this thing and you are super passionate about it, but you haven't actually done it yet, versus doing something that you're actually not passionate about and sticking with it because you're afraid of what other people are going to say. That is a different kind of imposter syndrome.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I mean, I think imposter syndrome is, I don't think we should just ever say if you have imposter syndrome, like that's incorrect. Everyone just has it and like you shouldn't listen to it. It's like, no, it's telling you something. I think imposter syndrome is telling you one of two things. I think one, it's telling you you actually do need more knowledge, more credibility, or more experience. And that's okay. And you just need to get that, and then you'll feel more confident. Or I think it's telling you that you're just like a beginner, and that's okay. And like, I think imposter syndrome sometimes can be us being where we're at and then seeing someone else where they're at and thinking that it's not okay to be where we're at. And it's like, actually, say they're level 5 and you're level 1, just own level 1 and get really good at level 1. And then you'll get to level 2 and then own level 2. And like, you'll eventually get to level 5.
So what are 3 tips that you can give to new entrepreneurs to help them build more confidence?
So I love the phrase, and I've heard it somewhere, I can't claim it for myself, but it's competence creates confidence. And I think that's so true. It's like when you, for instance, if you go into a meeting or even this podcast, it's like if you go into it blind, you're probably not going to feel super confident about it. But if you go into an interview or anything really and you've prepared for it, then you're going to feel confident. And that's a big part of it. And so I feel like the first tip that I would say is just to figure out what is going to create competence for you. So is there a little piece of knowledge that you feel like you're missing? Is there a framework that you need to build? Like, what do you need to do to feel like you're really competent at what you do? And how can you prepare yourself for the thing really well? And then 2, I would say practice. So if you have to practice, like say if it's coaching, for instance, like practice on a family member, take on a free client.
My first client was my mom. I will not lie.
And you were my first client.
Yes.
And we crushed it.
Yes, we did.
And that really kickstarted my business. And when you can take on a free client and you can practice, and therefore there's no pressure. You can just flow and you can learn, and you have to just make peace with the fact that if you're brand new at something, you have to somehow get experience. So it's like, how can you create experience? And so that's number 2. And then number 3 would be honestly mentorship, or just accountability in general. So if you can't afford a mentor, it's like find a friend and have them hold you accountable, because actually also I think action creates confidence. And so you have to prove to yourself that you are capable of what you're saying that you're going to do. And you can only do that if you actually take action on it. And so sometimes when it's a new venture and you don't have the confidence yet, in order to create the confidence, you need someone to push you to do the thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you guys, accountability. This is like, it's the secret sauce. Like, don't tell anyone, or tell everyone, actually.
Honestly, secret to success.
Secret to success.
I think the number 1 secret to success is accountability.
Yeah.
And that's what a coach does.
Yes, that is what a coach does.
And that's what friends can do.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. And you know what? It's probably the only thing that will overcome the resistance voice in your head.
Agreed.
Because you have an outside force being like, did you do it? My favorite question that Ashlyn asks me almost daily is, did you do it? Did you do that thing that you said you were going to do? She's the best at holding me accountable. Thank you. Literally none of this would be happening if it wasn't for her right now. I'm just saying. It really wouldn't be. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. I just wanted to interrupt for one quick second because I have to tell you about the Breath Channel. What is the Breath Channel, you ask? Well, the Breath Channel is a breathwork and meditation and embodiment membership. It's a donation-based monthly membership full of exercises, practices, tools, and training for you to release stress, gain energy, get grounded, feel peace, calm, and reach your peak state. This is a community of people who are moving toward vitality, aliveness, connection, more self-acceptance, self-love, and have the common goal of feeling better in their day-to-day lives. You guys, I've had so many noticeable shifts in my life in the way that I communicate with myself and the way that I understand myself, in the way that I'm showing up with other people, with my team, with my friends, and my relationships. And this has been probably the most helpful tool in allowing me to overcome any anxiety that's been holding me back, especially in this hard season of my life where I'm changing careers, I've lost a parent, life's been crazy, it feels like the weight of the world is on me, I feel like I'm showing up so huge in so many different ways, and the impostor syndrome can be so loud. Some mornings I wake up and I just feel so defeated. And I know that that's like probably surprising for you to hear, but it's true. Sometimes I just feel so defeated. And the one thing that I can always count on is the Breath Channel. It doesn't matter if I don't have a direction for my day, if I don't know what I'm going to be doing. All I have to do is click a button, get on my phone, click a button, and literally at my fingertips, there's 52 breathwork exercises that I can choose from to help get me in a better mood. One thing is for sure, I always feel better after a few minutes of breath work. And Stevie, she does such a wonderful job of guiding me through the experience and really just making me feel so at peace in my body. The Breath Channel might be the most magical way to start your mornings. And I say that because she literally has a practice called Breathwork for Magic Mornings. With over 50 breathwork videos, the Breath Channel gives you so many options to choose from. There's breathwork for abundance, healing anxiety, clarity, energy, emotional eating, and period pain. Oh yeah, I said it, period pain. Not to mention my personal faves, breathwork for feminine embodiment and breathwork for manifestation. It's truly so powerful. After I complete these breath works, I literally feel like $1,000,000. If you are someone who's been struggling to hit their morning routine and you feel like you need a little extra accountability, consider signing up for the Breath Channel today. I have a link below in the show notes just for you. If you click that link, it'll take you to the Breath Channel where you can sign up and get your membership. Like I said, it is donation based. I believe it starts at $20. Honestly, in my opinion, the best $20 you will ever spend. But if you feel like maybe that's not doable for you right now, no worries. You have the option to donate less. And if you feel so abundant, you can donate more. Don't worry about breaking the bank so that you can start to feel better in your body today. No, own your power now. Head on over to the Breath Channel, make a donation, and commit to your daily practice of connecting to your breath. I know it's going to make a difference in your life. I love you, and let's get back to the episode. Something I want to dive into really quickly is how authenticity is the real key to having a thriving brand. Can you speak about a time where you were in your business and maybe you realized this is not me or I'm not coming through, and what that was, and then how you started to bring your authenticity through? And I'm more so referring towards your feminine energy, like leaning into the new paradigm as you coined it.
Yeah. Man, I mean, I think there's many moments that I can think of in my business probably that I felt inauthentic and and for instance, my first business coach was a man and
Extremely masculine.
very masculine and very money focused and sales focused and, all of that oriented, which is why I hired him. And there was also things that I didn't feel were super aligned with me. And like certain, ways that they would, teach you to do sales and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I was just kind of following the scripts, or I was just following the structure. And I feel like I started to realize that actually, like, you really can create whatever kind of business that you want. Mm-hmm. And even if someone tells you that you have to do it this way, if that doesn't feel authentic to you and that doesn't feel aligned to you, then just don't do it that way, And there's a difference, and I think this is important. There's a difference between feeling inauthentic and unaligned with something versus it just being uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So when, there's things that you might have to do in your business that that make you feel a little uncomfortable because it's outside of your comfort zone, or it's up leveling you in some way, and that, okay, this thing is going to be good for me, but I got to do it. Versus like this, like there's a core of this that doesn't feel right. Like this doesn't feel authentic. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel like in integrity.
You feel cheesy. You feel just not
just something. It's a deeper, I think it's just a deeper knowing of like, this doesn't align with my values, essentially. Yeah, I think there's a difference of like, okay, there's this like, even cheesy. I think cheesy is fine. Sometimes you might have to sound a little cheesy. I think that's okay. I think it's more when you're doing something that you're like, this doesn't align with my values. Right. Or like, this feels like it's manipulative or whatever.
So what did you notice when you made the shift from these super masculine ways of selling and getting clients, and when you tapped more into listening to your intuition and really embodying this feminine businesswoman that you wanted to essentially create?
Yeah, I feel like a big one was that I just started to feel less burnt out, and I started, because there was a point in time when I started to like hate my business.
Yeah.
Like I was like, this is a lot. I'm stressed, and I feel like I'm not doing this for the right reasons anymore, or maybe I am just pushing, and I don't know what my like purpose behind it is. And it's just starting to not feel like me or loving or exciting. And it's so important. Like, I feel like my values are like, always like people focused. Like, I want this to be for the good of all involved. And then also like fun, adventure, play, like ease, flow. And it was my business was starting to not really hit those. Like, I was like, what am I even doing this for? And so, and I think that was a couple reasons. One, I was starting to feel unaligned with the fitness side of things.
Yeah.
And I think that was also probably more tapping into my feminine energy, because fitness can feel a little more masculine. And when I started to really tap into more of my feminine kind of just nature, some of these things started to feel less authentic.
Totally.
And I feel like I just found a lot more ease and flow and happiness. And at the same time, though, I also started to realize that things weren't aligned.
Yes.
And sometimes that's not
and
fun or enjoyable, because you're like, wait, so now these things aren't aligning with me anymore because I've had this big energy shift.
Yes.
So, but now what? Like,
so I just want to pause really quick and say and acknowledge the person who feels or is listening to this and is like, ugh, I am so out of alignment. Being out of alignment is not a bad thing. Being out of alignment just tells you that you are not doing what lights you up. So it's actually a good thing, that feeling out of alignment, because you can use it as your compass to get back on track.
I think we should talk too about like what does feeling out of alignment feel?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about it.
And I mean, even for you, like,
yeah.
Like, what do you like for you? What is feeling out of alignment? Because I feel like before I didn't really understand what the word alignment meant, or like, what does that even mean? Because when you're always living your life out of alignment, like accidentally, because you just don't know, like,
right,
then you don't actually know what it feels like to be.
So it's a scary thing. Like, when you feel out of alignment, you're scared. Like, because I feel like I just spent the last maybe 2 years out of alignment. At first, like, the fitness and all of that, it was in alignment at one point for me. It served a purpose, and I'm glad I did it. And it, like, running a business in that way taught me so much moving forward. And so, like, looking back now, I can see that all of my out of alignment things were fine because they were preparing me for what I'm getting ready for now. But I will say it was like a 2-year period where I was like, what am I doing? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so for me, I just knew that I could not do fitness coaching anymore. I had a hard time showing up to any of my fitness calls. I literally couldn't do it. Like, I didn't want to do it. There was nothing I wanted to do less. Didn't want to talk to another client about their problems, just because I myself was going through a super hard time. My dad just died. Like, my dad was sick with cancer. There was so much of, like, my identity. I was questioning my identity.
That's what it is.
You know? Like,
yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing? What makes me happy? Life is short. My dad's going to die from brain cancer. Like, how can I start living my dreams right now? Like, how can I make money doing what I love? There's a lot of insecurity in there. There was a lot of doubt. There was a lot of, like, thoughts about nepotism and believing that the people who do the things that I want to do only got there because they are lucky. Like, there's a lot of comparison. That's what it was for me. And it was allowing myself that 2-year period of being okay with, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm trusting that if I start to, like, kind of go after some things that interest me, maybe I'll find out what I'm happy with. And, like, for me, it was just like a very long period of I don't know, but, like, now it's clicked. You know, I even went into real estate, and, like, literally it's a year-long process to get your freaking real estate license, and it costs thousands of dollars. It's like, you unfortunately have to go after things and spend money on things just to realize that that's not it. So that's what it felt like to me. What does that feel like to you?
Yeah, I mean, I can totally relate to that. And I think, like, let's also normalize being passionate about something and being, like, fully in love with that thing, and then falling out of passion with it.
Oh,
like, it's okay.
It is okay.
You know, because I feel like when it happens, you almost feel like something is drastically wrong. You're like, this is not supposed to happen. I once loved this thing and now I don't. Like, what? Who am I?
Right.
Like, oh my God. Like, it's a whole thing.
And then feeling stuck or, like, pigeoned into that niche that you've created. You're like, but wait, I'm the fitness person. Wait, I'm the, like, I am the gut person, or I am the whatever. Okay.
and being like okay to realize that we are so multifaceted, and
Yes.
honestly, it's ridiculous to assume that we shouldn't evolve as we grow in life. Like, we
Right.
have new experiences, we learn more things. Honestly, if you're not evolving, like, then I don't think you're really like questioning your life. And like, I look at my journey and I'm like, I'm like, okay, fitness was amazing, and like I was kind of a baby in that. Like, I was introduced to fitness and it had changed my life, but there was also a lot of negatives to fitness.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of body image issues that go along
You're
with
looking
that.
at women's bodies
There's
all the time and
there's
telling
a
them
lot
that
of
this is
restriction. There's a lot of there's a lot of negativity that go with it, as well as, you know, what I had realized is too, like, there's some women who are not going to get results with this because they have actual internal issues going on. And I think for me to ignore that would have been really out of integrity, and it wouldn't have allowed me to keep evolving. It, like, noticing that caused me to question, why are some people not getting results? And like, maybe fitness isn't like everything.
Right.
And then that allowed me to grow. And then it's like, then questioning, like, you know, it's kind
Yeah.
of like, never stop questioning and never stop trying to kind of like make systems better.
I love this, Ashlyn, because I know like through my 20s, I questioned the heck out of myself.
Oh, totally.
And I always thought it was bad.
Yeah.
But it's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's so good. Like,
it's
if you're
healthy to question.
Yes, if you're questioning yourself, then like I applaud you. You're
It's
on the right
healthy.
path.
It's
yes.
healthy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's healthy, and it means that you care.
Yeah.
It means that you care. Like, it means that you care enough to be like, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing my best at it? Is there ways that I can improve? And you know, there's a healthy balance of it. You don't want to just always be questioning yourself. You always want to have systems in place that remind you of your worth and how great at your job you are and how many lives you've changed and how credible and knowledgeable you are. But you also should still be questioning yourself.
And on that, with like questioning yourself comes the opportunity to try new things. And you did this really awesome thing with a lot of people in our community, but you and your boyfriend spearheaded this. You guys created an event called Mycelium. You guys, best weekend of my life. Literally, best weekend of my year last year for sure, but like this year has also sucked. So it's still my best weekend in the last like year and a half now. Just kidding. The last year hasn't fully sucked. There's been some great moments as well. It's just, you know, some dark ones too. But okay, so Mycelium, it is a 4-day music festival.
3 days.
Okay, so 3-day music festival in the desert, highly exclusive. Like, first year they've done 2 years so far, and this is going to be an annual event. But the first year, I guess, was like kind of a beta essentially. And basically we threw a party in the desert with like how many people?
I think there was about 170 people at that one.
Of our closest friends. And you might hear that and you'll be like, Heidi, you have 170 friends. And like, actually the answer is yes, because Ashlyn is amazing at creating community. And so she's created this amazing community here in Venice, California. And it's, you know, a very, very small, well, not small. It's like it's a pretty big WhatsApp group, but it still feels so small because there's a true sense of community to it. So can you talk a little bit about what it was like for you to go do this thing you've never freaking done before, but it's fun, it's exciting, and also please touch on like how the community aspect of it made it so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's another one of those things where it's doing this festival was so fun and so just my nature. Like, I remember you were saying, what did you tell me last year? You were like, this is like you.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's everything you love because you love music and you love community, you love spending time with your friends, you love biohacking, and like this festival, it was like, it wasn't like these festivals you guys go to, like, you know, EDC Coachella, which by the way, I went to Coachella last year and my Mycelium was like way better than Coachella. Like it was like you felt rejuvenated when you left. You weren't dead when you left. Like you go there, they have ice baths, there's a pool, they've got like breath work workshops, tantra workshops. We did a sex workshop.
Healthy gourmet food.
Healthy organic gourmet food, like amazing chefs on site. Like yoga, amazing music, dancing all night, like under the stars, just amazing. So I want to hear, like, okay, first of all, like, how'd you even decide, like, oh, I'm gonna go from this to like just starting a music festival? Like, how'd you do that?
Well, you know, it was really our community in Venice that kind of sparked the idea, and it definitely was not just me. I think where like it was really this a group of us that had an idea, and then things just came together, and we found a location, and then we put it all together. And I think where I really came in was helping with the intention behind it, and really bringing just the feminine qualities to it, you know, of like, let's really balance this festival. Like, it's not just a giant party. Like, we are coming together to connect and to grow and to transform and to share resources and to help each other and to be healthy and thrive. And
which are all things that you were about, but it was inviting in this like more fun side of you to this like amazing project.
Totally. And yeah, and just being like allowing myself to kind of just lean into it. And actually, I think there was a part of me that was like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? Like, helping create this music festival for like almost 200 people. That's scary. Yeah. Again, the fear comes in. And luckily, when you have people also together, it's helpful. But I think it also was like, all right, Ashlyn, like, why would you want to just keep doing the same thing? Like, why don't you try to like access another part of yourself? Like, challenge yourself to like, okay, you are creative. Like, use this like different side of things and learn some new skills. Like, it's so fun to learn new skills.
Yes.
And just, even though you might feel like this isn't something that you've ever done before, like, why can't it be? Like,
right.
Why can't it be?
Why is learning and reading so much fun as an adult, but like as a child, you're just like, I don't want to go to school and I don't want to learn and I don't want to, no.
Oh, totally.
I'm like, I love going to bed early and reading books and learning new things, and like, it's just so fun now.
I know.
So Ashlyn, having run several different businesses, participating in this huge music festival, and now as a business coach for women, why do you think female leadership is important now more so than ever?
I think that the more women who make more money, the better, because I feel that the way that women make money is really usually beautiful and heart-centered and empathetic and serves the world. And then also the way that women spend money is also empathetic and heart-centered. And so I feel that the more women who can be in their power and show up and be in their gifts, I just think it's going to change the world, because the world needs more femininity in it. Yeah. We've been run by the masculine for so long, and not only just run by the masculine, but the feminine has been repressed and dishonored and even hurt. And it's there's a reason why the world is kind of the way it is. And I will say I think the world is getting better. It's getting better and better than it ever has. And I actually think that a big reason why is because women are finally being allowed to have more of a role in the world and to use their voices. And I just feel that women make decisions with an underlying sense of, how is this going to affect other people and not just myself? And more so than men. I don't think that, I think that there's so many amazing, beautiful men in the world. I just do think that our biology is very different. Yeah. And sometimes what we put as a priority as women is different than men. Yeah. And so yeah, I think.
Man, talk about systems that just don't work too. Because earlier we were talking about how in your business there were things that just were not working because they were just too masculine. They weren't authentic to who you were or anything. We are living in a world that was created by men.
Totally.
For men.
Totally.
Literally for men. Like by men,
absolutely.
for men to keep. So, and now there's this beautiful thing happening where women are starting to, I mean, we're still fighting. Like we still haven't had a female president. It's so crazy. Like I can't even believe that in my lifetime. Do you think we will have a female president in our lifetime?
I'm just going to say this right now. Maybe Michelle Obama.
Wow. I was thinking she would run too. I
Michelle
literally
Obama.
said it last night. You guys, you have to watch The First Lady. Like, it is the best show. I think it's on Showtime, but also it's on Amazon. And, like, I literally cry. It's so good. I've learned so much about our country and just how amazing the women behind these men and how impactful they have been in the making of our history. You have to watch it. But I want to talk very briefly about systems that just don't work. For example, the 9 to 5. So, okay, the 9 to 5, but then also, like, being a woman and like our cycle, right? So Ashlyn and I have coined this this new system that really does work for women. It's called the 12-hour morning routine.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the 12-hour morning routine?
So the 12-hour morning routine is that you literally just do whatever you want for self-care for 12 hours.
Yeah, essentially.
And you just
so
listen
take
to
us
your
through
body.
Take us through the 12 hours. So you wake up at 5:30 a.m., 6
Wake
a.m.
up at 6 a.m.
You got to journal.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things. You got a sauna, you got a cold plunge, you have to journal, you have to
Meditate.
Meditate. You have to look in the mirror and recite affirmations.
Yep.
You have to get some sunshine. You have to stretch. You have to walk. You have to.
Then you got to go work out.
You have to work out. You
Yep.
have to do yoga.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to take a bath.
Essentially what we figured out is what works best for us is just solid 90 minutes of work in the day. The rest of your day should just be spent taking care of yourself.
Absolutely.
That is tapping into the feminine. That
Yes,
is tapping
it is.
into just receiving energy and so like with that, you guys might hear me and you're like, that's ridiculous, but I'm actually being so serious. Our brains are not wired to work from 9 to 5 p.m. every day. They're just not.
Well, it's proven by studies that we have about 4 hours of like actual focus time a day. Like that's proven by science.
That's it. That's all you get.
4 hours of actual like productivity.
And like, don't forget, you drive. Like you when you're driving, you're using up some of that like focus because you got to be focused, right? So it's like this focus.
Totally.
So
But
okay.
even like further than that is like women are also we're not designed to be the same every day. So men have a 24-hour hormonal cycle. Women have basically about a 28-day hormonal cycle. And so we have about like 4 different kind of major shifts in our hormones throughout the month.
Yeah.
And literally the way that our body processes, like the way that our blood sugar shifts, the way that we process food changes, the way that we think changes, like the way that our hemispheres of our brain communicate changes, even like our appearance shifts.
Yes. Oh my God, I know.
The
It
way
really
that
does.
even like the way that workouts cause us to store fat or not store fat changes throughout the month.
Wow.
And so to expect us to be on this very masculine, rigid structure of everyone being the same every day is not actually effective for women.
What are some of your best hacks for female business owners when it comes to cycle syncing? Like, should they apply that to their life?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that...
What is cycle syncing, first of all?
Let's start there. Cycle syncing is basically just, I think there's an aggressive way to go about it where you're like, okay, I'm going to eat according to my cycle. I'm going to work out according to my cycle. I'm going to do my business. I'm going to like do everything according to it. And I think that's a little aggressive, but
especially in a world that is a man's world.
Totally.
A man's paradigm.
It's hard. It can be difficult to do, but I think you can design your life to reflect it. The way that I kind of do it is just to basically, I'll just explain kind of how the hormones kind of work. So basically when you're on your period, your hormones have kind of reached their lowest. And this is a very rough explanation.
Yeah.
But In general terms, your hormones have reached the lowest. And when hormones really give you motivation, energy, it gives you kind of like the glow and just like, it's like vitality, you know? And so when your hormones are really low, you're going to kind of feel a little low. And so that's why you're kind of like a little blah on your period. And then
so maybe that's not the best time to be like
doing a photo shoot, filming content, maybe even like doing a big push in your business,
right,
doing
like
a lot of sales calls.
Okay. What would you do more so in that period? Give yourself permission to rest? Don't do anything at all? Maybe just do some things?
I think really listen to your body. If your body is telling you absolutely not today, then just absolutely not. You know, if you're like, actually, like, I feel like I'm up for it today, then do the things that you can do. I think what it's really about is listening to your body during that phase.
Yeah.
And like your body will let you know what you
Isn't
can
that
do.
amazing? You're like, body says no today.
Totally.
You know? And it's funny because I've applied this too. And like, I feel like people in my life will be like, no, well, you need to do it. And like, it takes a strength for you to be like, no, my body says no today.
Totally. It does.
Yeah.
It is. Boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries are key with this stuff for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's your like menstrual phase.
Okay.
So then like when you're kind of ending your period, your hormones are beginning to rise and they reach their peak around ovulation, which is, it's different for everyone, but it's typically around maybe you're, a week and a half after your period to 2 weeks, something like that. And so when your hormones reach your highest, you're like, yes, vitality, high libido, like you're more attractive, you're more attracted, you're more magnetic, you can communicate better. The way that your brain hemispheres are actually working together so much better during that time because of your hormones. And so communication is great. So this is the best time, like little life hack, to like ask for the raise, to have a really important conversation that you need to have. This is when is good. Like you can totally push during this season, during these kind of like this kind of season of your period, because you have a lot of energy and you have a lot of resiliency. And so that's basically, so the period of time from your actual menstrual cycle leading up to your ovulation is called the follicular phase. And that's when your hormones are kind of rising again. And that's when it's this period of like newness. You can try new things and,
so new business ideas.
Yeah, new business ideas.
Announcing a launch, content creation.
Yep. And, during your actual period, if we just go back to that for a second, your actual period is a great time to just like reflect and set intentions for the coming month.
There's value in that.
There is value
Reflecting
in that.
is not doing anything. Like contemplation is action.
It is, yeah. And setting intentions for this next phase. And then once your hormones start to rise again, get started.
Take action.
And new beginnings.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so ovulation is like obviously the best time ever.
Yeah.
And then you enter your luteal phase, and the first half of your luteal phase, you're still doing great. You're still thriving. Your hormones are still pretty high, but they're starting to kind of, decline again. And that is when you'll eventually reach your menstrual phase again, but your late luteal phase is usually when people start to experience the most trouble.
PMS.
And yes. And when, and actually I would say like the big PMS that people experience is not actually like, it might be normal, but it's not what it should. Like you shouldn't experience a shit ton of PMS. And if you are, then you're probably just experiencing a little bit of a hormonal imbalance. And so usually that's due to progesterone not being in a good ratio compared to estrogen. So usually it's like a lower amount of progesterone, which is the hormone that will make you feel more satisfied with your life, more relaxed. Like it's kind of like an anti-anxiety hormone. And so when that's not at a good ratio, then that's when you can experience more PMS. So I think there's some amount of like I think on someone who's incredibly healthy, you're gonna feel still like some fatigue. You're gonna feel a little bit lower motivation. You might experience some anxiety. You might like question your entire life.
Right.
It's like I feel like I woke up yesterday and I was like, what am I doing? Who am I? Like
I know.
And then I'm like, but that's the key is awareness. Like because I knew, I was like, oh, I'm gonna start my period in a few days. Like I'm going to be so patient with myself today and so compassionate and like just know that this is not me. This is literally my physiology today.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what, you guys, if you just heard all of that and you're like, hey, well, now I need to go like learn about cycle syncing and understand, you don't have to understand electricity to use it, right? Like your body's going to go through these stages. So just having the awareness of it is powerful enough. Just,
it is.
As you've always said to me, know thyself.
Yes, totally.
So I think that's beautiful. That's great advice. So let's wrap this up, you guys. It's been an amazing episode. Ashlyn, before we do, I do want to ask you, what is your definition of confidence and how can women start to create more of it?
I think that confidence is feeling the fear. I don't think that confidence is an absence of fear. I think that it is still having fears, but having a good amount of self-love and self-talk that you can keep yourself accountable and keep yourself disciplined and keep yourself showing up and doing the things in spite of the fear.
Wow.
I feel like that's what confidence is. So you need, it's like, and confidence, I think confidence is a skill. I don't think it's like an innate quality that you just possess. And there probably are people who like are more confident than others, maybe because of their upbringing or whatever. But if you don't have confidence, you can build it. And I think a big part of that is one, cultivating self-love. But then two, like literally just from a strategic perspective is build evidence from your life, you know, like sit down and write out like 10 things that you've done in your life that you couldn't, like I've talked to so many women on the phone, like hours and hours. And like I'll bring up one example of this woman who she was on the phone with me and she was worried that my health coaching program wasn't going to work for her. That's a normal thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, like I'm scared it's not going to work for me. Or I'm scared that like I'm not going to show up and do it. Like I'm just, you know, and I was like, you know what? Like, have you ever thought that you couldn't do something, but then you did it? And she was like, yeah, actually, I lost like over 150 pounds on my own. And I was like, girl, like that is incredible. And like, do you hear what you just said? You know? And so it's like, sometimes we need to like write these things down and be like, you know what? I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. Like I went to nursing school or like I graduated school. That's insane. Like,
I know, that's amazing.
You know, or like even, you know, for me, it's like I was homeschooled and I made it out alive. You know, that's a thing.
Right.
Like it's so creating evidence.
Yeah.
And for instance, like with coaching or any, you know, business, it's like, look at your client testimonials, look at the results you've gotten, people. Like, go back and like look at all these names and stories and like these lives that you've touched, and it can help you create more confidence for, you know, what you're going to do. And also putting things in perspective, like, you know, I was thinking about it the other day, like what actually what does like qualification mean, or like what makes someone qualified to do a thing, right? And I was like, I feel like it's education. I feel like it's credibility. I feel like it's education and experience creates credibility, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
So
I would.
Education.
Well, I've thought about this before because I'm like, well, why did that acting coach decide that they could teach actors?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like, that acting coach hasn't been on TV or like they just made themselves. I think it's a decision to just make yourself an authority. I do think though you can't just decide out of nowhere. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have to have put in our industry, in the film industry, we talk about 10,000 hours.
Totally.
You have to put your 10,000 hours in, and it doesn't matter if in those 10,000 hours you fail 10,000 times. You put 10,000 hours in and you are learning. And I feel like with that, like, credibility, as you're saying, or experience, then what's left over is just you deciding. Nobody's going to give you the permission slip or come knock on your door and say, hey, I just thought about you and I was just thinking that, like, maybe you wanted to start a business and, like, you weren't sure about it. And so, like, I just wanted to knock on the door and check on you today. Are you chasing your dreams today? Like, I fucking wish somebody would knock on my door.
We do that to each other.
We do that to each other, yes. But yeah. Thank you. But yeah, that's, I think
what you're saying is exactly true. I think it's the education and then it's experience. And if you have the education, or like just meaning like knowledge, like education is like, you can be self-educated. Like I learned a million times more from my own experience and YouTubing and researching and looking up research articles when it came to fitness than I did in my freaking personal training certification. Like, good Lord.
Right.
And so if you have the education and you have the passion, and then guess what? You can get experience.
Right.
Like, but guess what getting experience takes? You have to do it.
Do it.
So it's like, you have to be okay with being a little shitty at first.
Yeah.
And just getting the experience. And then it's like, you know, like, but just, so it's like, you have to kind of question the system. Like, it's like, what actually does make me credible or not to do this?
And who decides that?
Yeah.
Me.
Is it a college education? I don't think so.
Right.
Absolutely not.
I don't think so, yeah.
No. And most, I mean, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of entrepreneurs never finished school. Like, so many of them didn't go to school, or they didn't finish, or whatever.
Right. Well, Ashlyn, it's been amazing having you on the Power Femme podcast. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for supporting my dreams.
Of course.
And always holding me accountable and being so amazing. You guys, if you want to stay in touch with Ashlyn, she's always sharing such valuable information on her Instagram page, and she has her hands in many hats. If you want to know more about mycelium, wellness mastery, her business coaching, or anything else, definitely click the links in our show notes. I'm going to put everything there so it's so easy for you to check out. And if you want to keep in touch with Ashlyn, I think Instagram is the best way to do that. She is at The Ashlyn Show on Instagram. She posts a ton of inspiring content, valuable content for you guys, and I'm sure she loves to hear from you. So check her out there, and thank you guys so much for listening to the Power Femme podcast. Until next time, have a good day. See you soon. Bye.